Hi, Shailaja. This is Hema here. I'm speaking to you on behalf of Asha Infinite Foundation. And I believe you have been with Asha for a long, long time, and you have done many, many classes. So, welcome to the session. And I'd like to ask you, how many sessions have you done as yet, Shailaja?
I've done more than 100 classes. My first batch of students, I did around 17 classes. And after that, the second batch has got around 98 lessons. So that makes it around 115, 120, something like that.
Oh my God. Amazing. Yeah. That's quite a long run, long innings. So that's amazing. And so how many times a week do you have these classes, Shailaja?
I take 3 days in a week.
Okay. Okay.
On a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, my kids are quite busy, is what I've understood. Since they are from an institution, they have multiple activities lined up. So they have just about a 45, or if I stretch it a little bit, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour per lesson that I've got with them. And I've got 3 students right now. 3 of them are the girls. And we are a good time, I would say. I mean, more than, just the learning, I mean, reading or learning. It's like we have a good interactive sessions.
Beautiful.
I mean, I keep it not too much of that teacher-student thing. It is more like a friendly discussion we have.
So I would also like to know, Shailaja, what is your background? Where do you come from? And where are you living? And, what kind, are you a professional, working professional? Tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, I'm from Kerala, but I grew up in Orissa. My dad was with the Rourkela Steel Plant, so I grew up there. I did my graduation there. And then I moved on to do my master's in management studies from Mumbai University. I specialized in human resources. And post that, I was working with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals in Mumbai. Then got married and to Chennai. I was with Airtel for a brief time there. Then I had to move to Bangalore. And finally, we moved to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And since then, I've been in Saudi Arabia for 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, just moving around. And here, initially, I was busy with my kids. And so, I mean, working was not, I mean, if you know this country, initially, it was in that place to work.
I do understand that. So, and I believe you are a marathon runner. That is what I heard.
Yeah, that's my interest. I mean, since COVID happened, and I mean, I was always into, running, jumping. I do a lot of physical activities, playing a lot of games. I'm an outdoor person. I like to be outdoors. I mean, I keep joking here that you will catch me outdoors more than indoors. That's how it is. And then once COVID happened and we were all, I mean, all that 1 year was terrible. And then I decided, okay, I mean, that's when this marathon thing, I mean, that's in the last couple of years, a lot of people been talking about marathon. So I thought, let me give it a try. I've always been walking. I've been walking for 15, 20 years or more than that. So I thought it was a gradual progression for me. I mean, from walking, slowly I picked up running. And I was lucky enough that the Riyadh Marathon happened.
Wow, yeah.
March, and my training, I had a training program for myself, and I worked, and everything fell in place for me. I was just lucky is what I think.
Superb, Shailaja. Shailaja, tell me, what inspired you to join Asha? How did you get to know about Asha? And how did you, start working with Asha? And when did you start?
Okay, so here comes Meera in the picture. I mean, I have known since her time in Riyadh. And we've been good friends. And then I got to know that when she moved back to India in Bombay, she had started this work of helping kids with educating the kids. And then slowly I got to know about her move, her move to Bangalore, and Asha being, coming into the picture. And I think she had informed earlier too, but then I was busy with the kids. So that point in time, I didn't join. Then slowly I thought, okay, I've got some spare time. Let me also see what's happening, how I can help. And so I got in touch with Meera, and she said, fair enough, let's have some, she got me through the orientation program, and then I had got my first set of kids. And initially, yes, I had my own inhibitions, whether I'll be able to, do a good job, because teaching was something I've never done.
Never done.
Yeah, other than my own kids, I've never been into teaching per se. But then once it started off, I started enjoying the process. I was happy to see the kids, that when they learn something, and when they share their stories and you see the progress, I think I was quite happy with the whole thing, and that's why I got stuck to it.
That's amazing. So it's quite some time since you're teaching in Asha, Shailaja?
Yeah, I think I started 7th of May to be exact, is when I had my origin.
So almost a year.
Yeah, 9th of May was my first class. Yeah, I'm just going to make it a year.
Now, tell me, Shailaja, what is your student profile? Like, how are the students? Which level are they doing? And are you teaching one child? Are you teaching more than one child? So, and you said that they are from an organization earlier also. So, can you just shed some light on what is the background of the student and where they come from? So, can you please tell me that? Yeah.
Should I speak about the current students or the students I started?
Basically the current students now, so that we get an idea as to what you're doing right now. Yeah.
All right. I've got 3 students right now. One is 12-year-old, one is 14-year-old, and one is 17-year-old. And all 3 of them are in level 2 now. I started off with them being in level 1. And then we progressed into level 2. And when I started off, it was not too easy with these students, because I was told that they were from an institution and there were certain things that I should be very careful about when I speak to them. So it becomes very difficult, especially when you're giving examples. You have to relate to them. You cannot give examples that they couldn't perceive, or examples that can be misinterpreted and all. So it was a challenge for me initially, because you have to be very careful. But then slowly the kids also start. We had a lot of games in between, so after 1 or 2 classes, I would play certain word games or certain games like your name, place, animal thing. So slowly we started doing that, and I think now we have reached a comfortable level wherein they speak about what they've done and what they want to do. It's quite interesting. The whole experience has been quite good.
So before these children who are from the institution, I can understand that it must be quite a challenge, because they must be coming from a different background. And first and foremost, let me ask you, are you doing these classes on a Zoom call or on a telephone? Because you are staying in Riyadh. So how are you doing it? Are you doing it by Zoom or on a telephone call? How do you go ahead and do that?
Zoom from the very beginning. That was the easiest way of communication. I think if they prefer that way. So it has always been Zoom. We have had our problems too with the internet issue. Sometimes they have issues, sometimes at my end also. So certain times we have had only classes for 15 minutes because of that, but purely Zoom throughout.
Okay, that's wonderful. So Zoom is much more easy because you can at least see the child. So tell me about your earlier students, Shailaja. Were they also on Zoom, or are they, some of them, have you ever done any telephonic classes?
No, I've never done any telephonic classes because it's not viable for me. Because if I have to use the telephone, if I use either the
Correct.
VoIP, it doesn't work here. I can do,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
thing that I cannot do. So Zoom has always been the option. Even with the earliest
Option.
students, it had been Zoom.
Okay, wonderful. So Shailaja, tell me that you said you're teaching level 2. So tell me, when you are taking up a lesson, if there is a lesson in front of you, how do you go ahead and prepare your lesson? What things come to your mind first, and how do you go ahead? Because I'm sure you must be preparing your lessons before you start the session, and giving it some time and putting some idea into how you're going to go about it. So how do you go about that?
First of all, Hema, I don't know whether you know this, but initially I was doing the regular Asha, the material that was shared, and now I'm doing the Pratham content. So, if I have to say about her earlier, yes, I used to spend some time. I used to go through the lesson to find out, because certain lessons initially, there was some issue with the content. So I go through the lesson, I go through the questions and see that the lesson is complete before I embark on that particular lesson. I had followed the sequence with the lessons and progressing from one lesson to another. But the preparation was, yes, just to see that I've got everything in place and I'm ready for any questions. Certain times, yes, certain stories used to be related, like the redwood trees of America and all that. So I used to have, do some prep work so that I should be aware of what I'm talking about. That kind of things. And always I think I always had this thing of making it more interesting. So if at all I'm speaking about a particular continent or country, I would get geography into the picture. So my lessons were never specifically English. It used to be geography, history, maths, science. Everything used to be involved in that particular chapter for me. We used to, maybe to some extent, we used to digress, but it was always with the intent of some value addition. Students, rather than just focusing on just doing the reading and finishing off that chapter. Some effort from my end to see that the children know more than just the English part of it. It was always an attempt to have them an understanding of everything as a whole.
Yes, that's fantastic. So I was just wondering, you said that you bring in a wholesome and a complete perspective of the lesson, and give them different ideas about the science involved, the geography involved. So tell me, are there any strategy that has worked very well for you in a class? Something that you thought of and it has worked perfectly well the way you really wanted it to happen?
It wasn't any specific strategy. I keep changing. If I see that the students are not understanding a particular concept, I try to do things differently. We have had role plays also, which the kids have taken it pretty well. That too is also from the role play section, that alternative activity section is there. That also we have done. And it's been a mix of everything. I wouldn't be able to say any specific approach have helped. I think it depends on the lesson as I would go by, because If the lesson demands me to do it in a different manner, I address it like that, rather than, having a specific, a path has never been helpful. I mean, it depends, like on that day, certain times, like if the kids are not too, certain times they are very energetic and they will want to answer.
Correct.
But certain pretty low because of whatever reasons, then it's more of pep talk. The lesson takes a back seat and it's the interest of the child that comes to the forefront. So we discuss general things so that the child is comfortable, rather than just going through the lesson. The idea is not to finish the lesson, it is to make the child comfortable and then
take it forward.
Yeah, how it is with me.
So actually, you have answered part of a question that I was going to ask you next. If suppose you go to the classroom thinking that, you're going to teach a thing in a particular way and you have a plan in place. And then when you start teaching, you realize that it's not working, what you had thought did not work. And you have to do something then. So what is it? How have you experienced something like that? And what do you do when you experience something like that?
Yeah, this is more or less, as I said earlier, it is more like a class-on-class basis. It's never two classes has been the same is what I feel. Every class is different for me. Certain times it interests me, certain times I feel that I could have done something differently. I make a note of it. Yes, this is my notebook also. If I can show you, I've got a notebook.
Yeah, sure, you should. Where you scribbled all your ideas and thoughts.
I've got my note which says that how much have they done or where they need to improve or what particular topic did I talk about that day. And if there is any homework I've given them. Like when we did about forests, I asked them to search about the One Mahotsav in India, who initiated it. So we just do random topics related to the story that we are doing. So
superb. That's fantastic.
Each class has been different, is what I would say.
So you'll have to keep things up your sleeve to just change things the way it goes as you go ahead, right? Yeah, one more thing is, like, I just want to ask you, do you teach only in English, or because most of the children come from, vernacular background, and do you have to use any other regional language to make them understand, or maybe Hindi to make them understand and get them onto, the lesson and to see that they are with you in the lesson?
Yes, my current students are from Madhya Pradesh. So for them, Hindi is the language. When we started off, I realized that if you speak English continuously, they are not able to understand. So I start off with Hindi, English. It's a mix of both these languages that we use. Certain words, when they don't understand the meanings when it's explained in English, I shift over to Hindi. I find which is the best in Hindi, and that's how it's now that they teach me Hindi, like certain words I wouldn't know, so I will just try to make something like this and this, and then they'll say, oh miss, it's this thing, this is what it means in Hindi, this is what you say it in Hindi. I said, okay. So
so you're also learning Hindi along with them.
Exactly. Has improved in the process.
That's wonderful. Shailaja, also tell me, is there anything which is the biggest challenge you have faced as of now while taking these classes and while doing these sessions? Is there something that's the biggest challenge you face when you take these classes?
Challenge, a couple of them that I noticed. That first, the background of these kids, I really don't know, what they've gone through in life. So I find it difficult to give them certain examples that I find is more relevant, but I have to be very careful about that. That is one challenge that I feel. Second thing is, since they're from an institution, I think there's always somebody there to monitor them. They're not as free as I want them to be, to express themselves. I feel certain limitation because there's somebody in the background. So that is another thing. And the third thing is the time constraint, because they have so many multiple activities these kids are doing. I always feel that they say that, okay, they're not flexible with the timing. If it has to if they give me a particular time and if they fail to keep to that time and, they don't inform me beforehand because they have something planned for the later part. So it becomes quite difficult for them to reschedule a class with me. So if the class doesn't happen today, like the last moment I'm told, like the recent past, they had certain days when, my class is from, Indian time, 5:30 to 6:15. That's 45 at best. So around maybe I'll start the Zoom session. I would be sending the invite, and then I'll get a message saying that, ma'am, the girls won't be attending today because they have certain functions. So they don't inform me beforehand. Then I'm correct. So that becomes a little difficult for me. Had they informed me earlier, maybe I could have rescheduled the class so that at least the class happens.
Yeah.
The is for me, like we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's these 3 days in a week. And after that, if the Thursday class doesn't happen, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's a long gap.
Yeah. So you lose the connection. Yeah.
Yes. And I can feel that also with the students that, that 4-5 days gap actually affects them. There's a slight regression because kids, they are not reading continuously to be in touch. So they don't think that 4-5 days, and then I feel a slight regression when I start on Tuesday again. So Tuesday is more about recapping and just trying to say, okay, this is what we did the last class, and now we have to proceed from here. So that becomes a little difficult.
But tell me one thing, Shailaja, with all these challenges faced and all the constraints that you have, what is the most significant change you see in your student after he or she has started the Asha reading program? And what are the difference in their listening, speaking, reading? What has changed in their, in them, basically?
Yeah, I could go step by step. First thing is reading. I've seen them improve amazingly. Though, all three of them are at level 2, but between the three of them also, I feel that there's a lot of change, certain, like one child in particular, I can name her name is Sandhya. She reads it so much. She's so expressive when she reads. She pauses at the right time. She modulates the way she says that particular word to match that word. Like if it is like, oh, so she comes like that, So I really appreciate that when it comes, that way you read it. All three of them, I've seen them change from where they started off. With reading, yes, I've seen all three of them progress from where they can read certain words to where they can read in terms of expressing the words and all. In terms of grammar also, we are progressing, though, everything cannot be handled together. So certain times, like, okay, I did something, and when it was related to names, I all related it to nouns. And when it is more how verbs come in the picture. And then I do the bridge module in between for them to, just that monotonous chapters. Yeah, the monotony of the chapters are not there. Second thing is, like when you spoke about some handicap earlier, I forgot to mention this, is we don't have any video calls happening.
Okay.
It is, it was strictly mentioned that they wouldn't want any video calls. I have made that. We don't have any video calls.
Oh. So your Zoom call is only voice, not video. Okay.
Yes. Yes, it
So
is only.
as good as a telephonic conversation, as good as. Yeah.
Yes, yes. They had maintained it at the beginning of the session itself that they won't encourage any video calls. So I've also kept it at that. So to that extent, I'm not able to see the children to understand, their expression, how much they have understood. When you see a child, you'll be able to engage better, is what I understand.
Correct.
But that is something I have not been. It's more, whatever they say, I just hear them out. That is what.
So the whole year you have not seen any of the children at all, only their voices.
No.
So that must be really tough, right? Just gauging with the voice tone and quality of their voice, whether they have understood or they're really following it. And that's quite a challenge. I think that's an amazing way to, teach and get through to the child. It's really tough. I can really understand that. Shailaja, okay, after all this, let me ask you one thing. Which was the most favorite lesson that you like to teach to them?
I think the recent ones, the Pratham content that I'm doing are quite interesting. The lessons, the stories are written in a very nice way that we can relate to. The story relating to the grandma making coconut burfi was something all enjoyed. Because at the end of the lesson, my students were like, "Ma'am, even I want to eat coconut burfi," and I was like, "Even I want to eat coconut burfi."
So cute. So it must have been their favorite lesson too.
Yes, we enjoyed quite. It was fun. It was fun doing that particular lesson, and the best thing was the lady who was monitoring them also came forth and said that, "Ma'am, even I want to have."
Oh, so cute. Really. On that happy note, Shailaja, I think we come to the end of this conversation. Thank you so much, Shailaja, for giving your time and talking to us about your experiences of teaching and volunteering in Asha. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.